Welcome back, and if you just joined us, this is Prime Morning and we are live on Joy Prime. Jay,
Yes.
I've drawn a lot and I am learning a lot. Today is dedicated to our viewers. You still have the telephone numbers. Our social media handles will be announced shortly. You will join us. Now, have you come close to a deadly situation before, Jay? Have you?
Yeah, well, yes, but probably not as mind-blowing as the one we're about to discuss. Yes.
Today, on Prime Morning, we have a survivor. She's called Doris Darkwah. But before we talk to her, let's watch this video.
The idea that I had only one hand, that blocked my chances. You know, I was scared to go out. I was scared to be me, to do stuff by myself, but I had to live. I had to do something for myself. My name is Doris Darkwah, and I'm the Executive Director for A Ban Against Neglect. The story of my disability started when I was 3 years old. I was in KG1 then, and then I came back from school, went home, and my mom wasn't around. So the next person I could reach was my dad, and my dad was at work. My dad worked with a cornmeal machine, so I went to where he was working, and he was going to turn, I had been there with him for some time, he was going to turn off the machine. So it was that split second when he took his eyes off where the corn would fall into the machine, that I went to where the machine was and then put my hand in there. Just like grinded just the fingers, so all the fingers were off. So it was just left with up to where the wrist area. And then I was in the hospital, went through 2 major operations. I guess they had a first one, but it got infected, so they had to bring it a bit further. So that's how I got it at the elbow. My disability definitely did have an impact on what, over the years, I had to determine as what I wanted to do. I remember I read a story in primary school where they were talking about, for instance, chieftaincy and queen mothers, and selecting queen mothers or kings or chiefs. And one of the things that disqualified people was if the person had any challenge. See, that line in that story changed my thinking about wanting to do anything at all. I was juggling through what can I be, you know? Because all I saw when I would go with my mom to town was people begging. Anybody who was challenged was mostly begging. I had never seen anybody who was challenged doing something else. I sent letters for jobs, and I had a good CV. I mean, I was good. So I had a good CV, I had everything. They will see my CV, call me, oh Doris, you sound really like an intelligent person. They will have what we call the phone interview, and then I'll go for the actual interview, and then, you know, like everything changes. So for me, that was like, it was more about, is she going to be a burden? My perspective on life right now, especially as a girl with disability, is I have personally grown to accept who I am and to accept that this is just how God wanted it to be. Because I'm a Christian and I believe in purpose, and I believe in fitting in God's divine, the bigger picture. I believe in that. So I am here for a specific purpose and a specific reason, so that is me.
Okay, so welcome back, and I do not have tissue here, and so I'm going to try not to shed any tears. But have you seen a cornmeal before? The machine, you know, I think that when we were young, would carry corn. You go to that place to go and corn. Nika nika, chifo friend nika nika. I go for friend gate. Oh, it works like a blender. So imagine that your hand in there and it blends it. Madam Doris Darkwah, hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
The video
Having me.
just, there's no word to describe how I'm feeling now.
Yeah.
You are a survivor.
I think like the story changes everything.
Yes.
This kind of story will change you, I guess.
The first thing that I want to ask you, which is off script, how do you keep a smile through all this?
Is it okay? Because I know my dad is watching now,
Yeah.
so I just want to tell my dad how much I love him. My dad has been my inspiration. I was having a discussion with a friend, someone yesterday, and I was saying like how my dad, it was both my parent and the community that I grew up in, and the people like I have had, like amazing people. I have amazing friends and colleagues I've had throughout my life, because that is how I like that they named this survival story, because that is how I survived. So my family, it was a community of support, and then it was also everything else challenging that came my way, because for me, and in most cases I see myself as a problem solver, right? So I don't see a problem and necessarily pull back. I want to face it.
Okay, so this happened when you were only 3 years.
Yes.
How old are you now?
I am.
You said the ladies don't like sharing their age now.
No,
There
I
she
don't
goes.
mind. I don't
There she
mind.
goes.
I am 34.
Okay,
34. I was 34 this year.
So at age 3,
Mhm.
do you have a
You recall.
do you still remember it exactly how it happened?
The only memory I have of that day was when I was being pulled away from the machine. That was it. Like, that is the only memory I have of the whole incident. So when I was being pulled, I don't even remember my dad's face or who was doing the pulling, but the moment the incident happened and I was being pulled away, I don't remember the hospital days and everything. I just remember that day of being pulled away from the machine. So the story, as I've known it, has been from people who were there at the incident site, who I am curious. I wanted to know. So I reached out to them to tell me what really, really happened. So that is how I got to know.
Is your
how
mother
it
still
happened.
alive?
No, my mom passed 3 years ago. She was one strong woman.
Okay.
I like I said, it was a teamwork between my dad and my mom, like raising me up. My mom was hard. You know, it's like I did everything. She made me do everything. Like, I mean, there was no excuse. Where I would be excused in
Wash.
school and stuff like that,
Okay.
I did it in the house. So we were girls, 5 girls and 1 boy. So everybody had a part to play so cleaning. Eventually it got to my turn. They taught me to wash. I did my own washing.
How did you do that?
I guess, so it's mostly like, and I think other people, I've watched videos of how other people with disabilities get things done. It's mostly when the other part of the body is not there, the other parts get activated.
Okay.
Right, so that's how it works.
Okay.
So with somebody who doesn't have both limbs, the legs automatically, like, your brain begins to work with your leg.
Okay.
So that is how those who don't have both limbs. So for me, I was right when I was a kid. Like,
Yes.
before the accident, I was right. So I had to now shift, my brain now shifts to the left. So everything I do with the left, I had to learn to write with the left. And then I had to, like, I use both the leg and then the hand, like in washing. Now I have the washing machine, I can do anything. But then,
Yes.
like then, at that time, like washing my own clothes and stuff, I used to do bits of it, not the heavy stuff, but bits of it. I used to do them because I had so many sisters who could help out on the rest. But then I had to learn to live on my own. I had to learn to be independent, and that's what sets the
Emefa,
journey.
I'm sure when you were in school, you had bullies, you had people who would tease you and all that as well. And I'm translating that to you. How, because you know, as kids, we might say things that we don't know how,
Exactly.
what kind of effect it might have on our friends. How did you sail through school, knowing that you had this disability and this had happened to you? Did friends
Walk us
mock
through
you?
your primary through
Right.
to
Yes.
JSS to secondary.
So I guess when I came back from the hospital,
Yeah.
I really didn't understand what had happened to me. I mean, I was still very, very young. It takes like people outside or the society sometimes to point out what is wrong with you.
Yeah.
So I was a happy child. Even
Okay.
when I came back, I was happy. You know,
Okay.
when I came back to school, everybody was so respectful and kind, and I was like, what is happening?
Wow.
Right? You know, it's like, because the way they were treating me was different. That was when I started feeling I was different. So teachers would, for instance, go easy on me than before. Friends were a bit, you know, reserved. Work in school and everything, it was like, okay, when people are going to the school farm, I was cleaning the office. I was the office girl. You know, it's like I was doing the soft kind of job. But that was also when I realized there was something wrong with me. So even within the good intentions, there was this hand pointing, or there was this society telling me that like I'm not like all the other kids.
Yeah.
So there was that separation, and that was when I really started. I really started feeling something was wrong, and I needed to figure out what that was.
How old were you during this time?
So class 1, I was like,
Yeah,
so
class
between
one,
class
yeah,
1 and the primary school days.
Yeah.
Between those days, I don't
Usually in
remember.
class 1
Yeah.
you're about
Early
6.
90s.
Six,
At very
six
early
and nine.
90s,
Yes.
Yes. So, yeah, I did get people who teased, because like you said, children will say things, and they got to me. So that shaped my life a little bit. It made me an introvert. So I had a system, you know, from school. Like I had to limit myself to doing a lot of things. So from school, I mean, in school I wasn't bothered. I guess I grew up in my mind. I had to learn to be strong in my mind. So I grew up quickly. So I learned to ignore a lot of all the stuff that was going on around me and to just concentrate on my studies, because I knew if there was anything I could do better than anybody else,
Yeah.
if there was anything I could do for myself, then it was to study hard and then to make it. Because once I had crossed that educational barrier, then I can be anything I want to be.
Okay, Doris, let's talk about between the ages of 18 to 26. This is a very
Critical,
important,
yes.
formative
Yeah.
age for a woman,
Yeah.
where your breast is shooting out, your bum is looking all around her, you're getting curvier and beautiful, and you have friends. Surely you had friends who
I do.
didn't have this challenge. And society, the boys in the area, you get somebody throwing a hi or hello at you. Did you have any special way of growing up during that period, I'd say?
So, as I mentioned earlier, if there was anything I was really like excellent at, it was developing a system for myself to
Okay.
survive.
Okay.
So I had to do anything for me to survive those periods, because they weren't easy.
Yes.
And like, you know, I saw my sisters going out to chill, you know,
Okay.
like those fun stuff. And I was always, no, I wouldn't go.
Wow.
I'll stay back. You know, like a lot of the times I would stay back.
Okay.
So, which was why I was in the library a lot and I was reading a lot.
Did you have a boyfriend around that age?
Oh,
Between
no.
the age of 18?
No, I didn't. I had crushes on people.
Tell me how
Okay,
you
you had.
managed.
Or
Yeah.
was it, how was it vice versa?
Surely.
You know, when we were kids, and you know, like there was this period we used to write letters.
Yeah.
You used to
Yeah.
write something on paper and then you pass it on to your sitting mate to give to the other person. So it was the crush period. Like I had a lot of crushes.
Tell me,
Yeah.
how was their response to you?
No, I guess. So the challenge at that point was in two folds.
Okay.
The first one was with me. and not being courageous enough.
Okay.
Well, I even didn't know girls were allowed to propose to boys. So I was waiting, you know, like you dress nice, you dress cute. And then you sit and wait. Yeah. Exactly. You sit and wait for that person to contact you and stuff like that. And they never did. But then, like, there was also the part of me understanding, like, that's another challenge that I have. Like, I understand you, you know, like, I'm physically challenged. You don't have to commit. So I had that understanding, and I always excused people, you know, it's because that's Ghana then, right? Society don't accept people with disability. Families, and it's the hard truth. Families don't accept people with disabilities. It's hard, but it needs to be said. People are not necessarily friendly with people who have disabilities, especially when it comes to relationship. You can be their friends, you can be their schoolmates, you can be their colleagues, but you can't be in a relationship with my son if you have a disability. So I was telling someone, like, I have never had a relationship conversation with my dad. You know, I don't talk to him about my relationship because there just wasn't one that I felt like really strong about to go to him with such conversations. And we see this in movies, you know, like, and I keep saying sometimes what we put, the content we put on TV and radio and all of those things, like, they educate us, right? So it's all of that. Like, I got schooled with all of these TV theaters and, you know, sometimes the disability part of the stories and all of those things. Like, they did educate me. So I guess, like, for me, it was a matter of, like, understanding. I didn't want to hurt anybody, and I didn't want to hurt myself. So I needed to put myself in the position where like I said, I needed to survive.
Okay, are you in a relationship now?
Yes, I am.
She doesn't want her daddy to know.
Exactly. I didn't want my dad to know yet, but well.
She just spilled the secret.
Oh Lord!
I am.
Daddy, I got the information for you. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, what's your father's name?
Doris Darkwah. We call him Waffle.
Oh, Waffle.
Yeah.
It's good you're watching today.
No, just want to ask real quick before you just jump out of it. I want to ask: was there a point in time where you broke down to cry?
Many times. Many countless times. Now I don't do that anymore, not because of if I do that, it's not because of the disability.
Okay.
So, but several times, like, over the years, like, I got to the point where I felt like this was too much of a burden for me to even carry on. There were times I didn't want to step out. The room was safe. My parents' house was safe. So going to secondary school was like, oh, you know, primary school, you have just about a few hundreds. When you're going to the secondary school, it's like the numbers are opening up. You will get into the university. Oh my God, Legon was like everywhere. Everybody in Ghana is in Legon.
All right,
so it was.
We're talking to Madame Doris Darkwah. We're going to get to know more about her, but I would have Lady Reverend Princess Ada join us. I'm sure that you have seen and heard about her survival story. Surely there's somebody out there who's probably in a similar situation, who's not knowing how to deal with it. And so we're going to be talking to Lady Reverend Princess Ada to help us. I'm confused. I don't know whether Jay just poured water on my face. I'm not crying anymore. All right, so we'd have Lady Reverend join us. But I'm concerned about what this guy feels about you.
The current guy?
Yes.
Okay. So he's amazing. I just have to say that he's amazing, and I think, like, it's because, like, we both think alike, right? We think alike in a lot of ways. He understands people with such situations. He's worked with people from low backgrounds and stuff like that. So I guess that's something me and him have, and we get to have conversations. When we were talking, one of the things I remember telling him, like, and I keep asking everyone I've ever dated.
Okay,
like,
you hold on to that. When Lady Reverend joins us, I'll take that, because that's really important for me. Lady Reverend will join us shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back, and if you just joined us, this is Prime Morning. It's a rather emotional morning for me, and surely I'm sure that you're also quite emotional today. And Doris apparently has done a better job on her emotions than me.
You, yeah.
But Jay, it's a different thing when you're born with a disability.
Yes.
And another thing when you wake up to
Yeah.
it. I cannot describe it, and I'm just going to go to Lady Reverend. What's her general take on the story here today?
Hi, Doris.
Hi.
You're one of the most beautiful people I have met in a very long while. And I think that I'm gifted with the fact that I look beyond makeup and smiles. I am probably by revelation, I know how to see beautiful souls. Now, when you started the story, I was just praying that, ooh, disability goes beyond just the physical, because that's what a lot of people see. We have the mental disability, and that is not being mentally challenged. That is not being at the right mental place. We have the attitudinal disability, and we have the spiritual disability as well.
Yeah.
Right. So when it started, I was just praying that please don't let her have an attitudinal disability in addition to what she has. And the moment you move past that, I mean, when we're dividing them mathematically, attitudinal, spiritual, and mental is 75%. This is just 25%. So for me, where I sit, you're not disabled at all. You are complete.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, what is it? The disability is in you if you're not able to overcome all of these things. And if you have overcome all of that, that's like 75%. You were super great and amazing. I had people cry from the back, and I'm like, God, I shouldn't want to hear her say she broke down on certain path. You were beautiful, you were amazing, and with what you have, being able to work on yourself, I think the world is open to you. And if there's anybody with Doris's situation at home, you kill yourself more if you just look at the disability outside and kill what you have within. There are people who are not physically disabled, but they are disabled.
Yes.
They can't think right. They are not at the right places. They are not making right choices. They don't have the right attitude. You know, they are not even at the right spiritual place. They're just lost. And I wonder how these people would rather look at Doris and say, oh, she's disabled. No, Doris says, no, you are disabled. Because if you're at the right attitudinal place, you realize that this is beautiful. This needs love. This doesn't need pointing fingers. This needs support. Because what she can do, you cannot do. She learned to right with left and cook and wash.
She's done more. We've been talking
and there are
about
people who have 2 hands and can't even wash. And that's like, really, you were way, way disabled. So if anybody is in Doris' situation, just think that the disability is in you. It's not what people say, and it's not what people see. And I'm so proud of you. And I wish you talk to a lot of people every day and keep up. And I wish you so well in your relationship. I'm praying.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Yes. Jay, let's take some comments and then we'll come to her.
Well, we'll do just right quickly. But just before we do that, I'm just itching to ask this, that I know there are a lot of people watching, and today we focus a lot on inspiring people and hearing people's problems. And the Reverend has shared a lot of solutions. What will be your ideal message to a lot of people out there, that one way or the other, they are going through a lot of difficult things, unbearable things, probably worse off than what you have been through? How should they survive?
And whilst you're at it, kindly tell me about Aban Ghana, okay?
Yes.
Whilst you're at it.
Okay, so I'll do that. So with the issue of solving problems, I think people, first of all, one of the things I learned, and I think I got it from the commercial. I didn't see the video, but I did see the commercial. When it says it's really what comes out. So, Lady Reverend did mention in her presentation about, like, you know, you have to work on yourself.
Yes.
It is, and she said something right now. You need a balance. Everybody, every one of us. Need a balance, and I'm talking about like spiritually, emotionally, physically, like all of it. You need a balance, and you need to love yourself enough, probably more than enough, to be able to, for me, because whatever comes to me, like I said, I look at it from all the different angles. Any challenge that comes to me, I take a 360. look at it. And then I'm looking at it from all the different angles. And then I know that even if it is on the 177th degree,
Yes.
the problem, the solution is there. So whatever problem that people are going through, one of my mantra is that there is a solution to every problem.
Yes.
A solution to, you may not like it, but it is a solution.
Yes.
And you have to go that way, survive it, and then when you get to the point where you can do something better about it, then you do it. But you can't just like give up.
Yes.
The only thing is not to give up.
Well, yes. Our time is really up. We wish we could really spend a lot more time with you. Just a quick message here from Sylvia Dede to you. She says that you're truly a survivor, Doris. Bubu says, hi, Doris, I love your personality. Well, wish you could read on and on and on. But yes, we have a quick inspirational video for you before we run out of here as well. Reverend, I wish I could take a message from you, you know, to everyone, probably in 10 seconds.
Okay, so in 10 seconds, just be who you are. Find yourself. We are so lost finding things that we think it's, I want to be like this, I want to be like that.
Yes.
You are who you are, be like you.
Yes.
You can be J. Foley, you can be beautiful, you can be Dorcas, you can be me. You can be you in your own different, beautiful way.
I like that. Emefa?
Well, I'm emotional in the studio today, but I'm glad that it brought you a lot of motivation and inspiration from Doris here. Doris has been doing a lot with the NGO, and maybe sometime later I would invite her here to talk to us about it. Do join us same time tomorrow, 7 a.m. Jay.
To 9
tomorrow
a.m.
promises to be more fun.
Thank you very much, and
enjoy
we are
your
out.
day.